Morning and welcome to One Grumpy Old Man and His Classics.
All my friends know the low rider. The low rider is a little higher.
Today, something slightly different again. Obviously the weather's still rubbish. It's like producers looking out the window because today it's sunny. But up until this point, it's just rained and rained and rained. So I've not been able to get outside and do anything. So the producer suggested we do my top 10 of all time of cars that I've owned in not necessarily in recent years, but my top 10 of all the cars I've owned. And I don't know how many cars I've owned. I couldn't, unless I sat down and spent about spent an evening working it out. But yeah, it's a lot. So I have my list here, and it's not necessarily in order, but I've got to put it in order. So this is my top 10 of cars that I've owned. So we're going to start at the bottom. So I wouldn't say least desirable, but this particular car, even though it's is it memorable? It served a purpose at a time when I needed this particular type of vehicle. And it's a Peugeot 305 diesel estate. Yeah, not very remarkable, but I bought this car with 240,000 miles on it. And I beat this thing to death, and it done everything I wanted. It would start every morning. It didn't matter if you cruised it or you thrashed it, it still returned 50 miles to the gallon. It was just a brilliant work tool. So that's my number 10. I mean, this old Peugeot, poor old thing, when I bought it, it was pretty scruffy. It was all roadworthy and that, but it just, to look at, it was, and every day something fell off of it, and it was that sort of car, it was a proper rough and ready thing, but it done the job, and it was just an amazing car.
When did you own that?
I owned that in 1998, 99. And that was a 1983 car. So.
And how long did you have it for?
I had it for about, I don't know, not long, 7 months, I think. I think in the end, Mum made me get rid of it. And I think the deciding factor on that was when she opened the tailgate, and the gas struts weren't that brilliant on it, and it came back down, hit her on the head, and she said, "That's it, it's got to go." So I got rid of it. Number 9. It was difficult to rank these cars because they were all great cars. So number 9 was a Saab 99 GL Combi Coupe. Sounds a bit of a mouthful. And it was a 4-door hatchback. It wasn't an estate, it was a 4-door hatchback. That was 1979 model. Lovely car, that was really nice. I didn't quite realise how rare that particular car was at the time, because I sort of hankered after another one, and when you Google it, they're just not around. And I then found out that only 600 or 700 were ever imported into the UK, so it wasn't a particular I want to say common, but it didn't sell well in this country. Don't know why. So anyway, so that's number 9.
How long did you use that for?
How long did I use that for? Oh, see, I didn't really keep cars for long. That's the trouble. I just like to chop and change. I suppose I want to say a year. Yeah, about a year.
In what years?
Oh, what year was that? Well, that was before. I want to say that's before the. That's before the Peugeot. So that would have been in 95. Yeah, so 95. And then number 8 is the Mark III Escort. So you'd have seen that previously. I actually restored that, the Mark III gear Escort. In my time, I've owned 2 of them. I did have another one years ago, just a 1.3 GL. But yeah, so the Mark III Escort was my number 8. Number 7, this car goes right back to 1988, and it was a Vauxhall Nova SR. And this was the first incarnation of them, so I suppose if you want to call it Series 1, so the original SR. I mean, you're going to see pictures of all these cars, not necessarily pictures of mine, because I don't have pictures of all these cars, so I've had to search the internet for pictures, and they will have the, what do you call it?
What do you mean?
So if I'm using a picture that's not mine,
Oh, sorry, yeah, you credit.
so there'll be credits to whoever's the pictures were. So you'll see a picture of a Vauxhall Nova SR on screen, and mine was exactly the same as that, same colour, everything. So then number 6 was my very first car that I owned in 1979, and it was a Mark III Cortina. And I actually owned 2 of them in my time. So yeah, the Mark III Cortina, what a great car, you know, great shape, you know. So and then moving on to number 5, it's another Cortina, and it's a Mark IV Cortina, and I owned that in around, I want to say, so that was I want to say 1989. No, that's wrong. So that's earlier. So that would have been in 87 that I owned the Mark IV Cortina, but that was quite a special one. It was a 2.3 V6, and that was quite a thing, that was. So we're now to number 4, and of course got to mention the Range Rover. So I owned 3 of them in my time. I actually owned, well actually it's a bit strange, because even though I've had 3 Range Rovers, for some reason I'd always seem to own 2 at the same time. So even though I've owned, got to grump my old man's cuppa, so let's have a little slurp. So yeah, so go back to the Range Rover. So yeah, so I've owned 3 of them in the past. Always seem to have had 2 at the same time around me. But number 3, Mark II Granada. Again, over my driving life, I've owned 2 of them on separate occasions. And again, another great car, you know. And it's quite clear, you can see that there's nothing like modern or fancy here. This is just cars that I've owned and I've enjoyed and liked, you know. So yeah, so number 3 was the Mark II Granada. Another great car. And moving on to number 2 is what I've got currently, and that's my E-Class Mercedes. And that's the W210. First Mercedes I've ever owned. Always looked at classic Mercedes, you know, the earlier models from like predominantly the late 70s, early 80s. I like that sort of square shape. But I just never got round to owning one. And so I've got the Mercedes now. And yeah, it's quite a modern car, I suppose. Well, that's my most modern car I've ever owned. It's a 1998. And that's probably the newest and most modern car I've owned. But oh my God, what a car. It drives superbly. Silky smooth V6. It's just a lovely car to drive. And, you know, so I've missed out really over the years. Should have bought Mercedes a long time ago. But anyway, so that's my number 2 slot.
Before we get to number 1,
Yeah.
any honourable mentions?
No, not really. I mean, something I've just thought about. So number 10 was the Peugeot 305 diesel estate. You'd have heard the word diesel. I mean, I'm not a diesel fan. Never have been. They just don't do it for me. And my whole, how long have I been driving? 40 odd years. Yeah, so 47 years. Blimey. Yeah, 47 years, and when cars still had wind down windows and starting handles, and no.
That's a prison sentence.
Yeah, well, the last 28 years have been a prison sentence. No, you can cut that out.
I'm good with that, you know. I hate them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 1, the big ear, Austin.
So quite clearly, anyone that knows me that's watching this, they're going to know what number 1 is. So number 1 is the BMW E28, and I've owned 3 of them. The first one I bought in 2000, and I literally bought it, is it 2000 or 99? Anyway, doesn't really matter. I bought it purely by accident, and I saw it on a notice board for sale, and I thought, that looks different. Anyway, so I bought it, and that was my first experience of BMWs, and I've never owned anything other than an E28. So as I say, I've owned 3 of them. So the first one was the gold one. You'll see a picture of that. That was my first experience of an E28. That was a 525e. And then after that, I decided I wanted the sporty model, which was the M535i. Not M5, like some people like to think they are, but it was the M535i. And it was such a lovely car. It was in really nice condition, and you know, it's made my number 1 spot because I just like that shape of BMW. But my God, that was the most unreliable car I've ever owned. It's like every time I took it out, it would break down, you know, and it was always an electrical problem. And the gearboxes on them are they're renowned for being quite weak. And I think I went through 2 gearboxes on it. But that's probably my own fault for booting it too much, I suppose. But anyway, it was a quick car. But yeah, it didn't like, because I'm a fan of automatics. Don't like changing gear. I like automatics. All my cars have been automatics for quite some years now. So yeah, so I had to put a couple of gearboxes in it in my ownership. But again, it was a lovely car to look at. And my wife always used to say that it was sort of butt of the joke, really, and she always used to say, but it looks nice though, doesn't it, darling? And it did. It was just a lovely thing to look at, but reliability was quite an issue. But I did get to the bottom of it. By the time I sold it, I'd fixed all its issues and that, and when it went off to its next owner, yeah, they ended up with a really sound car. And then of course I've recently bought another E28, which if you watch the videos you'll see some of the restoration work I've done on it. And again, that's another 525E. And again, they're just lovely cars. They just drive so nicely. I mean, it's 37 years old, so it's old technology. You know, it's not like cars of today in comfort terms and that, but it just drives so nice. It was just so well built, you know. So yeah, so that's my top 10 of cars that I've actually owned. And
a couple of questions. What was the difference between the Mercedes and the BMW that the BMW kind of picked top spot?
Well, the BMW, I've just got an attraction to that particular type of BMW because it's like the styling. It's proper old school BMW styling, you know, and the way it drives, you know, and of course because it's an old car, you know, it's like I can't go anywhere without someone stopping me, want to have a chat about it, which is fine. I'll talk to anyone about my cars, and I enjoy talking about my cars, and it's just people seem to remember that style of BMW, not particularly that model of BMW, but anything from that era, like the 3 Series or the 5 Series or the 7 Series, you know, that sort of styling, people remember it. And it doesn't matter if you're looking at it, driving it, they're just wonderful cars, you know. And if you've never owned one, I say go and buy yourself one and try it out.
I am surprised the Saab isn't in there.
No, well, there is one Saab in there, but that was a Saab I owned many years ago.
Right.
So the Saab I had recently, yeah, it was an okay car, but it wasn't, even though it was a Saab 99, no it wasn't, it was a Saab 900. Similar to look at, but the 99 GL was just my all-time favourite Saab. So just a quick overview. I say quick, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but you know, me and the editor just wanted to get something out for this week because yeah, we don't really like to miss a week unless we really have to. So he suggested top 10, and that's what I've done. I hope you found this, you know, something different to watch. You know, you don't have to like or subscribe, but if you do, it'd be great. Yeah, it'd be fantastic. So hopefully after this week we'll start getting into some practical videos, you know, like the Viking. And I keep saying that, I've probably been saying that for about the last 5 or 6 videos, but it's definitely coming this Saturday, and I'm going to start filming this weekend. So next week's video will be an introduction to the Viking. We'll do a walk round, we'll have a look in the engine bay, and we'll have a look at, we'll just talk about everything that I think it needs. And so that'll be next week's video. And then moving forward, it'll be digging in and trying to get this thing back together properly, get it started. If I can get it started, what's the engine like that we've put in it, etc, etc. So anyway, like, subscribe. See you next week. Bye.